Okay, we're going to show you how to use Adobe Animate, which is a pretty simple software because it just does just straight animation or audio editing. So, are you guys ready? I chose to do this scene here. I got Beauty and the Beast. I did exactly what I asked you to do. I cut it down to about 30 seconds. It has all the different things that I wanted in there. So I am good, ready to go. I also downloaded my ambient sounds. So I have 5 ambient sounds here to make up this exterior location here for the film. So here we go. I'm going to go into my Launchpad. Oh, escape. Let's go to Audition, which is this one right here, Adobe Audition 2020. You may on your computers have 2019. They work the same. It's fine. Okay, so once we open up Audition, Once we open up Audition, we have this. And this, a little confusing what we do, but it's pretty simple. The first thing that I need to do is you're going to see that I'm going to have my files bin here. And this is where you're just going to bring in your stuff. So I have my video and then my 5 audio files. So I'm just going to select all of those. And I'm going to just drag and drop into here. You can also just in here double click and it'll go here to open up and you can go search for your files. Or you can go to File, Import, and then import your files. I think dragging and dropping is usually just the simplest way to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so now I'm on Audition. I have all of my videos in, or my audio files, and then there's my video file right there, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new multi-track. And we'll explain the difference between a waveform and a multi-track, but you'll be using both. And then once we set up one, I think it's going to be pretty obvious what they do. So first thing, File, New Multi-Track Session, okay? We're going to name it, so let's call it Audio Design, and then I'm going to call it Beauty and the Beast. And you guys are going to go to Browse, go find that third 9 weeks project folder that we just created, Working Files, and then choose that. It's going to save everything inside that one folder. These defaults down here are perfectly fine, so I'm going to hit OK. And then there. Now I have, much like in Adobe Premiere or Animate, you have different tracks. This is just tracks, one on top of one another. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my video file, which will end with an MP4, and I'm just going to drag that over here. Now, before I do that, see the little triangle there? If I click on that, I'll scroll down. Do you see you have a video and an audio within that folder? Right? I don't need the audio. In fact, the audio has nothing on it. It's just like literally blank silence. So if you prefer, which I think you should, just click on that little triangle, scroll down, get the video, and then drag the video over. And then there's the video that I can see right here in my video window. If you don't see the video window, go to Window, and then go to Video, and it'll pop it up. You can take this video down here. If you want it bigger, you can just click and then drag it out, and then I can resize this to any size that I like. I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger and put it down here because I like to be able to see better. Cool. So there's my video. If you didn't do what I asked you to do and you just drag this thing in here, just like that, it's going to bring in not only the video, but the silence here. You can play it. There's nothing there. It's just silent. You can just click on that and hit delete. Same thing. Works just as well. Okay? All right. Now, I just need to start dragging in my clips. So the first thing I have here is this thunder. And let's drag that thunder in. I kind of like the thunder. I kind of like the thunder as almost like a dramatic moment. So I'm going to do it right, I don't know, let's see, right when she puts her hand on the beast's face. It's like a dramatic moment. And then I'm going to drag this, and I can see exactly where the thunder happens. I'm going to drag that right over there. Just like that. Let's see. Super cheesy. I love it. Okay. See, and I think it's a little bit loud right now, right? And see that yellow line that's right there? I'm just going to click on that line, and I'm just going to drag down. Just like that. I think it's a little bit lower. Let's go lower. I like it a little bit higher than that. But we're good. Okay. The problem is that there's nothing here. So if I go over here and I hit play, there's nothing. Well, I kind of like this right here, this sound, which is rain kind of sprinkling. So I'm going to drag another one of these in. And just put it on the track below. I don't want the thunder, so I'm going to go to the very beginning. Do you see how that turns into a clip? It's a clipping sign at the very beginning. I can just click and then drag. And then I'm just going to hide that front part and just go just to the rain, move it over. Let's see. Sounds good to me. The problem is that once we get to right here, you listen for it. Ready? And you can barely hear it where one track turns into another. And then this isn't super obvious, but on sometimes it will be. And the way to deal with that is to, I'm going to drag this over just to hide it for a second, just like I did at the beginning. I'm going to drag that up. Now I'm going to drag them, and I'm literally going to run them into one another. You see what happens? That yellow line means that this track is now fading in while that one fades out. And that's going to create a really smooth transition between the two tracks. Okay. Now I also lowered the volume of this one, so I'm also going to lower the volume of this one too, to about the same. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. You can hit play by either hitting the little play button here or hitting the space bar. You know, I feel like the rain is the right loudness, but my thunder is a little bit loud. Okay, so to do that, I want to lower just this point right here. If you click on this, I can put these little points, okay, like keyframes in animation. And I'm going to lower just this section a little bit. And I'm going to lower just that section a little bit. And let's see. Better. It's not so corny anymore. It's kind of, you can tell that that thunder's happening in the distance farther away, right? And then right when the thunder's over, I'm going to have it get back loud, just as loud was before with the rain. Maybe there's a little bit dramatic of a change. Let's do maybe like click that one down because I want it to be pretty low here because that's really like where it's really loud. And then from here to here, I can have it just like fading back up. Okay, well, I guess that's just the audio right there. Anyway, all right, now I'm happy with my rain. I'm happy with my thunder. Let's see what else we have. I have some wind blowing. I'll put that into. Now what I'm doing right now is what we call mixing. I'm just mixing the sounds together to get the sound that I like. It's fine, I guess. You know, I'm not a huge fan of this track. It's fine. You know, I may actually have it like start a little bit higher at the beginning and then fade out as we get to the thunder, fade back in a little bit afterward. Let's see what that sounds like. Fine. I'm okay with that. Let's go. I'm gonna have like actually have some like fat raindrops here that I have too. Let's see. Now, if you notice right here, right, I am right there in the rain, in the space of the rain that's happening. So those raindrops are going to be pretty loud. But then I get to this shot right here, and our focus is over here. And so I'd kind of want to use this as like almost like spatial awareness. So from here to here, I'm going to have the raindrops not be as loud as they were. And let's see what that sounds like. You see that slight dip there? You can really changes the view of where we're at in space. And then once we get a little bit closer, I'm also going to change so every camera angle, I'm going to change like kind of what that sounds like. So from here to here, let's do another one here where we go. Let's go even lower because I really want to bring less emphasis on the raindrops because it's more about the emotional moment between Belle and the Beast. So does this sound good? Not really. I mean, I'd make a lot of changes here, but there's this one here that I really like, and it is this the church bells. So I'm going to add some church bells in. Now you can keep going and notice that there are 6 default tracks, but not really, because if I just keep dragging down, it'll just keep making more and more and more. So I have like an unlimited amount of tracks. I really like those bells. I think the bells kind of like there's something in the ambience that you don't see in the scene, which is cool. But I think it certainly fits. It has a dramatic tone to it, so it almost works as like a non-diegetic sound, but it's not. But you hear those birds in there? I don't like those birds. Those birds don't fit. It's raining outside. Birds don't go and chirp like that when it's raining like this. It's terrible. How do we get rid of those birds? Well, that's where waveform comes in. So in multi-track, I'm just editing and mixing my sounds together, changing the decibel level, doing all of this, right? If I go to waveform, though, I can adjust and edit sounds, just like you would in Photoshop. It's like Photoshop, but for sound, okay? Before that, though, I skipped over one thing that I wanted to add. I'd really like you to name these tracks. So ambient, and then this is thunder. We just click right there on track 2, ambient, and this is wind. Ambient rain, whatever. So go through and then name each one of these to stay organized. But so like on this church bell ones, I'm going to double click here, just right on the track. And notice that I've now switched over to my waveform. So my multi-track is where I can edit these sounds together, and I can mix the sounds together. And if I want to edit the individual tracks, I can just double click on them, pop it right over to waveform, and if I want to go back, I just go to multi-track. Okay, so there's my church bells. Now, let me turn that off. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see the decibel level, which is the volume, and you're going to see 2 lines probably, and then one is going to say L, and the other one's going to say R, and this is your left ear and the right ear, because when you're designing in surround, you have things coming out of your left ear and your right ear, and then for this track, it's the same thing. So if you're putting on headphones, you hear the same thing out of left ear and right ear. Have you ever heard a track where something plays in the left ear but not the right ear? That's because they just do that, and they just turn it off, the left ear, and then so that way it just only plays in the right ear. And sometimes we do that just to create a sense of like space. Like if somebody's knocking on the right side of the stage, I'd only want it happening over here on the right side. Again, a lot of times for spatial awareness. So I'll turn that back on. Now, what I want to do is I want to look at this thing right here, and this is called a spectral display. Now this shows frequency. High frequency sounds that are really high frequency, and then low frequency sounds are ooh. High frequency sounds are up here. Low frequency sounds are down here. So if I'm listening to this, it's mostly lower frequencies. It's the rustling of the rain, and so that's why this is very bright down here. But you can see the bird chirps happening right there. Do you see that? Listen for it and watch. You see it? You can actually see them. Isn't that cool? I can actually see sound. How amazing is that? Now, I could do a couple things. I could use like this little lasso tool or something, and I can select that, and then just hit delete, and then delete it out. And listen what happens when we play it. Well, that didn't sound good, right? Because sound's made up of the entire frequency spectrum. And if I just delete that whole spectrum out of here, that frequency out of here, it sounds artificial, right? By the way, this is how we can do things like we talked about in the Ring film, where we got rid of lower frequency or the upper frequency. So I can take a sound like this, and like maybe I just delete the entire upper frequency, and I can play it, and it'll sound like this. Or, and sometimes it's how they make people sound like they're on walkie-talkies and things in films, just because like just adjusting frequency. Or I can delete the lower frequency. Let's see what this sounds like. Actually, I have no idea what this is going to sound. So, well, let's see. Let's experiment again. I'm going to delete just except for this band of frequency here, and let's see what it sounds like. So that's kind of cool, We'll get into that later when we're actually doing our non-diegetic sounds. We're going to talk a lot about adjusting frequencies. Okay, real quick. So if I use this tool right here, which is called the spot healing brush tool, and I paint this section where these birds are at, it's going to do a thing where it's going to collapse in the surrounding frequencies around it, just like that. And you can see that they're kind of gone now, but the frequency still is being kind of like patched over. Let's see it. And for the most part, the birds are gone. Now, that's it. If I just go back to multi-track, it's automatically saved into the file, and I go over here and I play it. No birds. Okay? So this is it. This is what I want you to start working on. I want you to bring in your video, and I want you to start just creating the tracks for your ambient sounds, labeling them ambience. Okay? That's it. Once you're done, file, save. One or more media files used, blah, 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 outside. Yep, just hit it. Yeah. Okay. We'll save it, exit out, and then you're done. That is working in Adobe Audition. It's that simple.